Conducting our service today is Rabbi Ari Hart. Today is a heartbreaking and a surreal day. We are here in a space, in a room that Miriam loved and gave so much to. All of us here to embrace you, Mark, Lena, and Joseph, Elaine, Corinne, Marty, Marlene. We're here to embrace you with love and support. And all of us are here because of the deep feelings we have for our beloved friend and community member, Miriam Bromberg. Esther Miriam, Bat Aron Tzvi Vechana Reitza. Born June 3rd, 1962, youngest daughter of Elaine and Harry of blessed memory, sister of Corinne and Marlene and Marty, beloved wife of Mark, devoted mother to Joseph and Lena, and friend to so many of us. We will first honor Miriam's memory with a recitation of Tehillim, Psalm 23. Mizmor LeDavid, Adonai Roi Lo Efsar, Bino Desha Yarbitzeni Alme Menuchot Yinahaleni, Nafshi Yeshovev Yancheni B'Magle Tzedek Leman Shemo, Gam Ki Elech Begei Tzal Mavet, Lo Irara Ki Ata Imadi, Shivtecha Mishantecha Hema Yenachamuni, Taroch Lefanai Shulchan Neged Soberai, Dishanta B'Shemen Roshi, Kosi Levaya, Ach Tov V'Chesed Yerdefuni Kol Yemei Chayai, V'Shavti B'Veit Adonai, Le'orech Yamim. A song of David. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not lack. God causes me to lie down in lush pastures. God leads me beside tranquil waters. God restores my soul and guides me in righteous paths for God's name's sake. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your scepter and staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in full view of my adversaries. You have anointed my head with oil, my cup overflows. May only goodness and kindness pursue me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord for the length of days. We'll share reflections this morning from myself, Mark, Corinne on behalf of the siblings, and conclude with some words written by Lena. When reflecting on Miriam's life, I found myself thinking about her namesake in the Torah, Miriam HaNeviah, Miriam the prophetess. The name Miriam has the word mar, bitterness, in it. And in the Torah, Miriam's character knew bitterness and knew loss. And yet we find that Miriam still knew how to sing, still knew how to dance, how to lead, and how to love. Miriam in the Bible, unlike her prophetic siblings, whose leadership and prophecy was defined by big speeches and obvious miracles, Miriam's neviut, her prophecy, her life, was about quiet, humble doing, giving, and loving. Miriam in the Torah was a community builder. After crossing the sea, she sings a song, a simpler and humbler song than her brother, but a song that brings in everybody into a big circle to dance. Miriam in the Bible, who gave to the vulnerable. The Torah relates how she protects the infant Moshe, advocating and fighting for him. Miriam in the Torah, who's fiercely devoted to family, sticking with her siblings through times of joy and celebration, and also through times of stress and difficulty. In the end, Miriam's Torah life is lived more quietly than her brothers, and her life ends early. She's the first of her siblings to die. But her impact is tremendous. When Miriam dies, the Torah tells us, V'tamat sham Miriam v'tikaver sham. She dies and she was buried there. And the very next verse, V'lo haya mayim la'ida. All of a sudden, there was no water for the community. Rashi tells us what's the connection between Miriam's death and a lack of water? Well, wherever Miriam went, says Rashi, there was a well, a deep, ever-flowing well of life-giving water. And when she died, suddenly, much too soon, that well was gone, and the people were left waterless. This was our Miriam, community builder, organizer of countless Kiddush setups, Tat Shabbats, Hamantash and bakes, quiet, determined, meticulously organized. She loved community and made such an impact on whatever community she was in. And she was a fabulous friend, loyal, funny, caring, and honest. She drew people towards her and towards one another. Like Miriam in the Torah, our Miriam was a provider and an advocate for those in need. She led a life shaped by the value of chesed, of acts of kindness to those in need. And there were so many. Whether it was baking cookies every year for the first responders on Christmas, meals for the families of sick children, bringing Lena and Joseph every month to the Uptown Cafe to volunteer, the book bank, granola bars in the car for homeless people. I'll never forget this past winter, when it was bitter, bitter cold, and Miriam was very ill. And we had a delegation from the shul going to bring blankets and cholent to homeless people sleeping outside. Miriam, in the depths of her illness, insisted on going, insisted on being a part. At midnight on the south side of Chicago, thinking of others, teaching her children, and all of us the importance of the value of chesed and tzedakah, of compassion and justice. But the most important value of all for Miriam was that of family. Elaine, she loved you and Harry so much. She wanted to protect you. She loved and respected you. Just one way she showed that respect was the way that also, when she was very ill, she made great effort to come and say Kaddish in your husband's memory every day she could. A loving sister, always concerned with the family, seeking, like Miriam, for unity and togetherness, weathering the occasional disagreement, but always with an underlying sense of a deep bond and connection no matter what. And she was so grateful for everything that you did for her. Mark, you shared with me the story of your third date with Miriam. You were supposed to go on a picnic, and you fell off your bike and had a bad fall. You were in the ER, and you told your friend to cancel the date. Somehow Miriam found out where you were and showed up and had that date with you in the ER. That was Miriam. She showed up for you, and you showed up for her. At every twist and turn, at every up and down, you were there, caring and advocating tirelessly for Miriam, with superhuman levels of patience and endurance and compassion, keeping it together, looking out for everybody, putting one foot in front of the other. Mark, I hope you really understand how much you did for Miriam. And may you feel Miriam's gratitude and love for you, which were so strong, and she shared with me many times. May you feel that gratitude forever in your heart. And of course, with family, there was no one more precious to her than her beloved Joseph and Lena. She loved you both fully with a fierce love. whether it was Sunday nights cuddled together, reading books, or family trips to fun places, those meant the world to your mom. You meant the world to your mom. She supported each of you in your interests and passions and had big, big dreams for both of you, for you, Joseph, and for you, Lena. Joseph, she was so proud of you. She loved celebrating your accomplishments and supporting you in exploring the world. She loved how you applied your intelligence and your wit and your creativity to the world. And she believed in you, Joseph. And she knew that you could and would and have achieved so very much. And she knew that you have so much more to go and to do. And Lena, she was so proud of you. Your thoughtfulness, your intelligence, your leadership and activism, your love of Judaism, your gift with children. Nothing brought her greater joy this summer, this difficult summer, when she would hear about how you were doing at camp, how you were having so much fun, how you were learning and growing. Just the mention, Lena's at camp, would bring a beautiful smile to her face and light up her eyes. She was so very proud of you and loved you so much. Miriam loved her family. Her love for her family was a love, in the words of Shir HaShirim, Azah Kemaim Kemavet Ahava. That love is stronger than death. Miriam's love for family was stronger than death. It's a love and a guidance that will always be with each and every one of you. I only had the zchut to know Miriam for this past year. I wish I'd known her in the better times. But in the way that we got to know each other, you get to know the essence of a person and what they're really all about. Miriam was an amazing human being. And Miriam let me become her rabbi at a moment of great vulnerability and pain. But Miriam, I was the rabbi, but you became my Rebbe in those moments. Miriam, you became my teacher in courage, my teacher in passing on values, my Rebbe in living with grace and purpose even in the darkest moments. And Miriam, I can still picture you standing right over there, and when you couldn't stand anymore, sitting in shul, singing along, welcoming guests, a life-giving presence for me and for all of us. I will miss you, Miriam. For so many, for all of us in this room, the hundreds of us here, you were like a well, nurturing, giving life. And it's impossible to believe that well is not with us anymore. Somehow, we'll go on walking through the desert without you physically with us, but we will never forget you. We will carry your teachings, we'll carry your love with us always. And may all that you gave us sustain us in these difficult times, and may we draw upon those values and that love so that everything that you stood for and all you believed in be brought into this world that needs Torah Miriam, the world that needs your Torah, a world that needs the teaching and light of Miriam Bromberg.
Joseph and Lena, today should not be happening, and no one should be here. Not me, not Corky, not Marlene or Marty, and especially not Bubby or you guys. But it is happening, and we are here. We're here because, as Mom and I have said more often than you ever wanted to hear, life isn't fair. And it's not. And sometimes it just sucks. Today, or more accurately, the past 3 years are proof of that. It sucks that Mom got cancer. And it sucks that she had to go through the treatments that she did and the impact that it had on you and our family. That sucks as well, perhaps the most. But even though life might be unfair and it might suck at times, what may be impossible to realize today is that life can still be good. And although that might be hard, if not impossible to realize right now, it's the truth. Over time, the good memories are going to come back. Today is going to fade, and the memories will come back in ways that you cannot imagine and at times that you cannot expect, but they will return. Today, in this week, it's the time for sadness and grief. But even in the depths of that, it's important to remember the good. Mom left us way too soon, but she was with us long enough to raise you, and whether you like it or not, she was able to put her good imprint on you. In our family, the good starts with you two. Though you fight a lot, don't really clean your rooms when asked, and often drove Mom crazy, you were the center of her world, and there was nothing she would not do for you. Someday you will realize just how much of Mom is in you and how much like her you really are. It might be something big, or it might be something as subtle as realizing that the 5-minute answer you gave to a friend's simple question was 5 minutes long because you filled it with 4 minutes and 45 seconds of Mom facts. When that happens and you realize that it happened, I predict that you'll shed a tear or two. But unlike today, those will be tears of joy because you'll realize that Mom is getting her revenge for all those times that you pointed out the Mom facts to her. I also know that the good will return because although Mom's cancer was a focus for the past 3 years, cancer is not what defined her, even when she was fighting it. Her life extended beyond it, and her legacy will extend past it. I know that the good will return because of all the people whose lives Mom touched. Regardless of how long they may have known her, the fact that she was part of that person's life made that person's life better, especially mine, and specifically because without Mom, I wouldn't have you too. I know that the good will return because of the impact Mom had on those around her and the things she did to improve life for others. Mom didn't have grand designs about changing the world or being a captain of business. Instead, her focus, her universe, was her family, and you guys were the center. Her goal was to raise you so that you might be the ones that make those grand changes. Since January 21st, 2001, the day Joseph was born, all Mom wanted was to raise you and be the best that you could be. Like all moms, yours did this in part by lecturing you, probably too large a part in your minds. But more importantly, Mom led by example. And in doing so, she actually did what she had no intention of doing. She did not just do things for her family or for you, but she impacted the world around her. The kids' programming that the rabbi mentioned and started and led at the shul, like the holiday cookie bake for first responders, has expanded beyond our shul, where cousins have adopted this in communities of their own. Our Hamantash and Bake, or the Purim Carnival, are creating the perfect punch recipe for the Kiddushes. We're all labors of love for the community as a whole, but they were fueled by her desire that these exist for you guys. And for those who know Mom, they knew that once she had an idea, nothing would stop her. And I want to share 2 examples of this. The rabbi sort of stole my thunder with the story about our dating, but it's true. I had a bike accident on the bike path, and as I was taken by an ambulance to a hospital I didn't know what it was going to be, I had a friend call Miriam to postpone our date and then cancel it. That didn't deter Miriam. She somehow found out what hospital I was at and showed up in the emergency room. We had our date as she hung out with me before I went in for surgery. Another example was she wanted someone to make balloon animals for one of your birthday parties. but she couldn't find someone at the price that she thought a balloon animal maker should charge. Instead of changing her mind and finding a different form of entertainment, ever the bargain hunter, Mom found a way to get what she wanted. She bought a How to Make Balloon Animal book, 2 bags of balloons to practice with, and she handed them to me with the directive to learn how to make balloon animals in 6 days. I could have argued, but again, for those who knew your mom, you know it was easier for me to learn how to make balloon animals in 6 days than it was to refuse. Even when she was sick, and when her focus could rightly have been on herself, Mom's desire to help and set the example for you guys never faltered. Again, as the rabbi pointed out this past winter when she was not doing well, and on that cold Saturday night, she went to help distribute food and clothing. And because of her, we always have crackers in the back of our car to give to the homeless we see at the side of the road. Mom did these and scores of other things because she believed they were the right things to do. And she had you join in because she knew that instilling these values in her children was also the right thing to do. And seeing how you two have grown and matured into the people with the social consciences, independent ideas, and the convictions to follow them, there's no doubt that she succeeded. Joseph and Lena, you're each going to face many decisions regarding how you will live your lives. I have no doubt that due to the imprint Mom left on you, you will make the right choices. During your lives, often at unexpected times, you will notice Mom's imprint. And no matter how far in the future those moments may be, they may make you cry, or they may make you laugh. But regardless, it's those moments and those moments that guarantee that Mom's memory and her legacy will endure. Since Mom's diagnosis a little more than 3 years ago, one of the most difficult things for me was time spent alone, be it driving, walking pogo, anytime I was alone. Anything that put me in a situation where I had nothing to do but think was something that I dreaded. It's not because I was worried about Mom, I was, but I knew that she had the best doctors and care available and the love and support of her family, friends, and a wider community, and that we were literally doing everything possible for her. I dreaded my time alone because even though Mom and I remained optimistic and put forth a positive attitude, when we received her diagnosis back in October 2015, we knew that unless a miracle medical breakthrough that even the top doctors and researchers were unaware of was discovered very soon, today was coming. And no matter what we did or how far into the future we pushed today, it would come far faster than we wanted. And when that day was come, I was going to have to watch you, at way too young an age, say goodbye to your mom. It's my job as your father to protect you, and there was nothing I could do to protect you from that. And I had no idea to help you or what to say to you that might be of help. But a few weeks back, when Mom was not communicative, even in that state, she was somehow able to tell me what to do, and she gave me the answer. When Mom was diagnosed, the first thing we did after receiving the news and the treatment options was to take Pogo on a walk around the neighborhood to talk things through. There were, as you can imagine, lots of tears, but there was also a surprising amount of laughter as our conversation dipped into the darkly humorous and ironic aspects of what we knew was to become our constantly changing new normal. One thing that came from that walk was that whatever happened, we would face it and deal with it, and when and if possible, try to laugh at it. And Mom, as the point person on this journey, was going to face it and deal with it as bravely as she could. And she did. Be it her surgeries or her radiation treatments, which during the first round of, she literally drove herself to those treatments in the morning and then drove herself to work afterwards. She bravely faced the side effects from those treatments, and even faced the impact that the cancer was having on her ability to be your mom. Regardless of what would come, she faced it as bravely as she could to get through it and to perhaps become the statistical anomaly that beat her cancer. But even as time passed and the odds of mom being that anomaly decreased and then disappeared, she remained brave. Brave is defined as being willing to face and endure unpleasant conditions while you do what has to be done. Based on that simple definition, there is no doubt that mom was indeed incredibly brave. You will notice that the definition does not say that you cannot or should not be afraid. You can be afraid. Mom was afraid much of the time. But throughout, she faced that fear. The definition also does not say that you have to be alone to be brave. You do not. And mom, in fact, all of us have not been alone. We've had the unwavering support of the entire extended family and an army of friends to lean on. And the definition of brave does not mean that you have to be brave 100% of the time. It is possible to forget to be brave. To ensure that she did not forget, though, mom bought herself a Be Brave bracelet to serve as a constant reminder. And Lena, that's the bracelet I gave you this morning. The only time mom took that bracelet off was when she had MRIs, because she couldn't wear jewelry around the MRI machine. At her last MRI in mid-July, mom was unable to take her jewelry off herself, and so I did it for her. And I saw and was reminded about this bracelet. That same day we learned from the doctors that mom's time with us was coming close to an end much faster than we had expected. And as it did so many times over the past 3 years, my mind went to you two. Only this time, it was accompanied by mom's voice telling us to be brave. And being brave is our job now. It does not mean that we should not be sad. It does not mean that we should not mourn. It does not mean that we should not cry over mom's leaving. And it does not mean that we should not fear how to go on without her. And it definitely does not mean that we should forget her or stop loving her. But like mom's decision that there was no choice but to be brave and face her treatments and her uncertain future, it's now our turns to be brave as we face this new normal in our lives. And as strong and as independent as mom was, she knew and accepted that being brave required help. And per her model, we don't have to be brave alone either. When mom went into hospice, I was given a great deal of paperwork about the services that were being offered. One of the items I received really stood out because it was not a written document. It was a diagram. In the center of the diagram was a circle, and radiating out from that circle on spokes were 6 or 8 other circles. The center circle was supposed to represent me, and the circles surrounding it were people that I could call on at 1 a.m. for help. I did not fill that form out because there were not enough circles. Joseph and Lena, we're lucky that there are not enough circles to fill the scores of names of people who are there for us and who we can literally call at 1 a.m. This room is literally filled with them. People are lined up to help with big things, like meals and things like that. But the smaller, more personal things, like having a shoulder to cry on, or someone to talk to, or someone to scream at, are there as well. You don't have to fill out circle diagrams to identify who you want in your diagram, and I have no doubt that you already instinctively know who they are. And I don't think you'll even need to write their numbers down because they're probably already in your phones. I also don't think you're going to need to make those calls because those people are going to bring the help to us. So while we're being brave, know that there's an army of people who are there to help us be brave. And they're being guided by mom. Regarding this army of people who are standing there, ready and willing to help, they didn't just appear today, but they've been supporting us throughout mom's illness with meals, visits, rides, laundry, ears to listen to, and shoulders to cry on. Not one person did this for thanks. And one of the most common things I've heard over the past 3 years is, "Don't thank me. It's been my pleasure." It may be that thanks are not needed, but to that army of friends, to the community, on behalf of me, Joseph, and Lena, and Miriam's entire extended family, please know how much the support and friendship has meant to us and how humbled we are for your help.
The Adler birth theory would say that Miriam possessed the classic youngest child behavioral traits. Miriam was whimsical, full of fun, adventurous, creative, carefree, and feisty. When we were growing up in Skokie, the whimsical poet Shel Silverstein was a favorite in our household. My siblings and I would often read his poems during high holiday services, smiling and giggling, and that was how we prayed. And reading these beloved poems to Miriam was how we got through Miriam's hospice stay. So it seems fitting that we begin our eulogy to our baby sister with the Shel Silverstein poem, For Sale. One sister for sale, one sister for sale, one crying and spying young sister for sale. I'm really not kidding, so who'll start the bidding? Do I hear $1, a nickel, a penny? Oh, isn't there any? One kid that will buy this old sister for sale, this crying and spying young sister for sale. And now you're smiling. And that's how Miriam would want it. Miriam was our baby sister, our feisty baby sister. Maybe it was because she was the baby in the family and because she could never get a word in edgewise that she had no choice but to be feisty and fight her way through. One day, at a family gathering, we brainstormed as to how best to celebrate our mom and dad's 50th wedding anniversary. We bombarded with each other with all sorts of ideas, fitting and not so fitting, completely oblivious to the fact that we were constantly interrupting Miriam. Finally, out of desperation, Miriam stood up and shouted, "Why don't you ever let me speak?" She was right. And so, determined to not let her voice be silenced, she had to fight to be heard in the family, fight to do things her way, fight for whatever injustices came her way. And as a mom, she showed Joseph and Lena how to stand up for themselves and how to stand up for others. And how to bravely fight her own unfair and unjust illness. Growing up as her older and of course much wiser siblings, we didn't always agree with Miriam's way of doing things. We thought, no, we knew how she should live her life. We couldn't believe it when she wouldn't listen to our elderly sage advice and wisdom. She was determined to live her life her way, fun and adventurous. And lo and behold, the day came when our baby sister proved us wrong. Her move to Canton, Ohio, after college landed her a great position, which led her to her very prestigious position as a buyer for the famous Goldblatt's department store, giving her the opportunity to explore exciting places like New York, LA, and Las Vegas. She loved it. She thrived and grew and matured. She knew what she wanted out of life, and she was determined to do it her way, and she did it. So she kept her personal life, such as whom she was dating and where she was going, she kept all of that very private. That way, we could not meddle in. Now imagine our surprise when we showed up at our family Hanukkah party. When she showed up at our family Hanukkah party with Mark. We didn't see this coming. Who is he, we wondered. Before long, we realized Miriam had met her match. Cut from the same cloth, driven, determined, and adventurous, and all the while doing it their way. She matched him wit for wit, humor for humor, sarcasm for sarcasm, with a mutual love for adventure. And she loved it. And she loved Mark. And so do we. And her new selection of friends that followed were all to our liking. Shul friends, kitchen friends, neighborhood friends, best friends forever. Thank you. Mom, we recognize that Miriam's drive and determination also came from both you and Dad. Thank you for passing those traits on to our baby sister. We know you are very, very proud of her. Named after her great-grandmother, the name Miriam is Yiddish for able to uplift and elevate others. Polling her nieces and nephews and great-nieces and nephews, they all agree that Miriam was a hip, fun-loving, uplifting aunt. She showered them with gifts galore, jewelry, cosmetics, accessories, cute little frilly skirts, t-shirts, books, and more, all purchased with love during her many wondrous adventures exploring thrift shops and flea markets. This year, we have suffered two sad losses in our family. This past October, we lost our beloved Dad. And now, on his birthday, what would have been his 98th birthday, we've lost our dear beloved sister, Miriam. Miriam, as Dad welcomes you into his arms, give him a huge birthday kiss from us. And don't forget the 3 squeezes. Mark, Lena, and Joseph, you're right. Life isn't fair. Tomorrow was promised to no one. Remember her. Remember Miriam's zest for life, her laughter and her friendship, her fight for injustice, and her fierce desire to do things her way. Our baby sister loved you very, very much. She loved you through and through, yesterday, today, and tomorrow too. Love her always with a love so true. Feel her love when you're sad and blue. Hug her close and hold her dear, and her memory will stay fresh and clear. Those we love don't go away. They walk with us every day. We love you, Miriam, and we will miss you.
Following our words from Lena. A few months ago, my friend and I went to visit our old middle school. The lady at the front desk was incredibly rude to us. As we walked out, I told my friend that I was calling the school to complain about how rudely we were treated. I realized in that moment that I am truly Miriam Bromberg's daughter. Whenever Joseph had appointments, my mom and I would get to spend time together. We would get sushi, walk around Evanston, or go shoe shopping. I now know where my obsession with shoes comes from. My mom was a total shoe hoarder. Every shoe I purchase from now on is just a way for me to remember my mom. Sorry, Dad, but now you can't yell at me for having so many shoes. My mom was always so great about making time with me and Joseph. Every winter break, we always set aside a day for us to go downtown. We went shopping and explored random ethnic restaurants. Every Saturday night, we lay together in her bed, reading and sharing our favorite quotes with each other. Even after she started working out of the house, she always made sure to find time to spend with us, and for that, I'll always be grateful. When I was in elementary school, I was terrified of thunderstorms, to the point where it caused me a lot of anxiety. My mom spent a lot of time finding me different specialists to help me get over it, but none of them seemed to help. One day while I was at camp, it started to rain, and I got scared that it was going to thunderstorm. I panicked and had camp call my mom to pick me up early. She came to get me, but instead of taking me home, we stood in the park during the rainstorm for half an hour. After that experience, I was never afraid of thunderstorms again. My mom had a way of always knowing what I needed. Growing up, I always knew Mom was strong and resilient. When asked who my role model was, I always said it was her. During my mom's 3-year fight, I actually saw the strength she had and was even more convinced that she truly is my role model. At this point, I want to invite everyone to rise. We'll recite together. I'll recite the El Malei Rachamim prayer. El Malei Rachamim, Shochein Bamromim, Hamse Minucha Nechona, Al Kanfei Ashchina, B'malot Kedoshim Uteorim, Kezoar Arakia Mazirim, Et Nishmat Esther Miriam Bat Aaron Tzvi V'Chana Raitza Shelcha Leolamam Bavu Shanachnu Mipalim Baraskar Nishmata Began Eden Tehei Menuchata Lachein Baal Arachamim Yastireya B'Seter Knafav Leolamim Vitzror B'Tzor Achayim B'Nishmata Adonai hu nachalata v'tanuach b'shalom al mishkava v'nomar amen. God, full of compassion, who dwells on high, grant proper repose on the sheltering wings of your presence in the lofty levels of the holy and pure who shine as the brightness of the firmament, until the soul of Miriam Bromberg, Esther Miriam, Bat Aaron Tzvi, V'chana Reitza, who has gone to her world and for whose memory we pray. May her repose be in paradise. May the Master of Compassion bring her under the cover of God's wings and bind her soul in the bond of life. May the Lord be her heritage, and may she repose on her resting place in peace. And let us respond. Amen. You may be seated.